I've been waiting for this one. Wrath, Aeon of Ruin. I was getting a little worried. Haven't heard much about it for months now. I was worried maybe it dropped off the face of the planet, or just kind of disappeared like some games do, you know? For those who don't know, Wrath is an upcoming 3D Realms game on the Quake engine. Not the original one, it's Dark Places, but still. That's why this stuff looks like this. You can turn on texture filtering, but this game in the promotional material, and by default, leaves it off. So it's a stylistic choice, which I really like. If these graphics are too fancy for you, here's it with everything turned down. So early access, 2 levels. 2 levels? I was skeptical, and then it took me nearly an hour to play through the first one and a little over 30 minutes for the second. Wrath starts you off in a hub world where you can select any of the levels in any order. It apparently scales difficulty depending on which you choose first, and the goal is to get an artifact in each level that'll unlock the next hub. In these 2 levels, it's easy to see where they are. In fact, these levels are, for the most part, kind of easy. I didn't expect them to be too difficult. They are the first levels, but I can see the game getting much harder as time goes on. Yeah, no shit, Civvie. Games get harder the more you progress in them. Okay, well, Wrath has a different kind of save system. You can save your progress at shrines, which may show up once or twice in a level, or with soul tethers, which allow you to save whenever you want. That was the thing that concerned me the most when I first heard about this game. I expected there to be not enough of them, making saving your game part of resource management, while not really a hallmark of old FPS games where you could save scum to your heart's content, is a novel idea, and I don't hate it. However, in the second level I had so many of the soul tethers that I found that you max out at 9, so every time I came across one and couldn't pick it up, I just saved my game. Yeah, there's kind of an awkward delay when you do that. It's a performance tick that I can safely say is the only time I ever saw this game hitch or stutter. It runs great. It's Dark Places, it ought to. I'm gonna do my minor gripes about the game first, because they're small. Enemies are kinda dumb and have trouble pathfinding. Some of the visual design, while complex, especially for the Quake engine, looks muddled and samey in certain areas, copy-pasted, mostly in the first level. I mean, look at this area, compared to this area. Okay, so we're done with the cons now. Honestly, this one's already shaping up to be another great addition to the retro FPS renaissance. You've got massive levels, a bunch of monsters, satisfying weapons, mostly good arenas. This bit with the water in the second level, you move slower in the water, it messed with me. Especially since the fights were supposedly harder in this one because of the difficulty scaling. Because you can play the game in any order, but according to the devs, the levels you play first will be easier than they would be if you wait for them. It makes sense. When I went into level 2, I didn't think this first room here would have been possible with only a melee weapon, what with all these flying enemies. That melee weapon, the Ruination Blade, has a secondary attack that charges up and can improve your jump. It's gonna be fun to watch speedrunners use this. You get almost no vertical boost from it, but it can be used to get to secrets. The game teaches you how to use it in the second room, and it works fine. I have no complaints. This music sounds pretty good. I'll give you one guess who made it. Just in this early access build, you've got 5 weapons. The blade, a revolver-like pistol that has 3 chambers. It fires slugs. They apparently are huge. You can shoot all 3 at once as an alt-fire, and it doesn't actually reload, so... The shotgun is mostly good. The secondary fire is good, but a little impractical. Otherwise nice. The Fang Launcher, which, let's be honest, is Quake's nail gun. With the option of firing both barrels at once, it's fine. It's a good weapon for the weaker monsters. The Retcher is a little more interesting. Primary fire launches 1, secondary launches 3 in rapid succession, but the primary one hits harder than the 3 smaller ones, and you pick up ammo for this thing from the downed enemies who throw them at you. They explode and can help with crowd control. There's great enemy and weapon variety for an early access build. There are 8 monsters already added to the game, with more coming in the future. They all seem to show up in the first level, which is too bad. I was looking forward to something new in the second. I was pretty shocked at the enemy count, too. I opened the journal and it gives me stats. 13 secrets, which I won't find all of. I'm glad 3D Realms is keeping up this tradition. And like 450 monsters in the first level. That's not to say the game is hard, at least not yet, save for a couple of areas like this. Fuck yes, let's do this! And then I accidentally picked the Return to Last Shrine instead of Return to Soul Tether, and there's no option to load your game unless you die, so I had to get myself killed and reload to the tether. Cool. Honestly, if you watch this channel and like this kind of game, Wrath is an easy sell. The art style is classic and pixely, but the architecture and design is usually beautiful, and the levels themselves are well presented, flow naturally. The 3D models and animations are way better than they have any right to be, and if someone told you this wasn't the Quake engine, it's not hard to believe. Solid combat, rich style, it's another game that feels like it was made in the early 3D era. Something like Quake or Unreal, except with way more detail. Since it seems like it's been months of radio silence about Wrath, I have to assume they were working to make it presentable, which it is, besides the first loading screen being really long for some reason. And this one railing I can walk through, that's it, didn't even crash. I wonder if one of these days a dev is going to send me a key for a shitty game.